Welcome to Stitches in Time, the podcast discussing Doctor Who the way it was meant to be watched, in chronological order, one clip at a time, starting at the Big Bang and ending with the heat death of the universe. I'm Becca, the Matrix archivist, and I spent the last 12 years of my life meticulously editing the entire televised Doctor Who universe into chronological order.
And I'm Mandy, and I survived when "I'm on a boat" was the meme that was everywhere.
And today we are discussing The Infinite Quest. This is specifically just a 19-second long shot of a ship floating in space.
Yeah, it's just like a long zoom out pan, which is a lot less impressive when it's just CG. Of like, oh, like long shot, like that's what we're looking for as kind of a significant thing whenever you're watching something. It's like, oh, that takes a lot of prowess and a lot of like difficulty just like to hold the camera for a long scene. When it's CG, it's a lot less interesting. I had originally just wrote the letter X really big because it just starts off with a big black X, and then you zoom out and it's on a boat, and you zoom out and it's on space, and you zoom out and there's electricity.
Yeah, that's basically what this clip is that we're talking about today. So am I correct in assuming you've never seen The Infinite Quest?
When was The Infinite Quest?
Okay, so The Infinite Quest, it's our first clip that's not from the show called Doctor Who.
Okay, it said it was totally Doctor Who, and it was like, okay, so we're just gonna go to a limited 2 and watch. It was the Doctor Who that they only played in a small TV inside a Charlotte Russe.
Yeah, I wanna be clear that me saying that this is from a show called Totally Doctor Who is not just me going, yeah, this is totally Doctor Who. I promise. It's actually, so there was a show on children's BBC called Totally Doctor Who.
Because they were lying to children.
Yeah. And it was a sort of behind the scenes thing. It ran, I think, during series 2 and 3 of the modern era. You know, it's basically Doctor Who Confidential for kids, essentially. And they have like...
And Doctor Who Confidential was...
Doctor Who Confidential was basically a behind the scenes show that they ran that would like air after Doctor Who, and they do an episode all about the episode of Doctor Who that you just saw.
Wait. So what you're telling me is like, oh, it's like Doctor Who Confidential for kids, but kids could just watch Doctor Who Confidential, and the implication of this existing in here is that they were getting their own storylines, and they were like feeding you behind the like metatextual. We are both like peeking beyond the like behind the curtain of showing you how stuff is getting made behind the scenes, but we're also giving you the story in universe. Just busting down that fourth wall.
Obviously, behind the scenes stuff is not canon, but one of the things they ran on the second series of Totally Doctor Who was they ran this animated special that they had made, and it was sort of broken up into, I think, like 5-ish minute chunks, and so they would like air part of it every episode of Totally Doctor Who. So it does, that part has its own story, but that was not like the focus of the show. It was very much like, let's bring some kids on who are fans and like have them play games with each other and stuff.
I just love the like, we have an IP that we do something with, but we don't want to spend any money. We'll just get some kids. And they'll play like a real game.
Not a real game. No, it's always a Doctor Who related situation. So I watched one episode of Totally Doctor Who to prepare for this. I should have written some notes down about it, but I'm just going to do it from memory because it was this morning. They have this like studio, and they like have a talk show. They invited Freema on. And then they had these kids who were like teams of 3, and like the first sort of challenge they were given was, you have 30 minutes to adapt this part of the script for Smith and Jones into a storyboard. So that was like kind of a fun thing. And I really like the idea of like,
and then we will
the
be
Doctor
using
Who
it
production
in the show
team.
because
Yeah,
we don't want to pay people to make an actual storyboard.
I really like that idea of just like, how can we get free labor? I know.
Free child labor.
Let's have a contest. I mean, that's what they did with the Absorbaloff for Love and Monsters. That was a design a Doctor Who monster competition that a kid won. Like,
we're in agreement. The Doctor Who condones child labor.
Yeah,
make
basically.
Those kids work.
Look, I mean, where's the lie, right?
If you go into the Doctor Who office, there's just a poster of Michael Jordan saying, "Fuck them kids."
Exactly. So you've seen just this short clip that is, for the listeners, I will tell you it's about 11 minutes and 47 seconds into the omnibus version of Infinite Quest.
I have to assume that this is short enough that you can just edit the clip in and we're not going to get copyright struck.
That's probably true.
Things that predate our reality. Relics from the dark times.
Oh, a fairy tale.
Oh, far, far more than that.
So yeah, so it's as Mandy described, it's this like long sort of zoom out shot of this ship in space, and David Tennant is giving a little bit of narration over it because it's
I didn't even recall a narration.
Okay.
I don't know if he said something. I was not paying attention. I thought it.
To be fair, the way I edited it was like, I mean, he starts the narration when he's talking to Martha on some planet, and then it just like fades into this flashback of this shot, and it fades back in. So it's really just the middle part of his sentence that we're getting.
Okay. I was like, was he given important details? If so, that was not. I did not write them down. I made sure to mark down the electricity. But I didn't mark down that David Tennant was saying anything. My ears just block that out. I have to actively remember to listen to David Tennant.
Wait, hang on. Is this an ADHD thing or is it a David Tennant thing?
I don't know. I don't dislike the man, but I need to like. It's like those. And granted, this is like a Matt Smith era villain, but the is it the silence, the ones where it's like if you're not looking at them they don't exist. I have that for David Tennant's if I don't see him, like I can't pay attention to him. He's not real.
That's really interesting. I love that.
It's really hard when he's doing a voiceover or something and he's off. If he's off camera for a moment, Good Omens was very confusing.
Who's this guy? Oh God. Who's the guy in the shades?
Yeah. Knowing that this is for children, I got so little here. I just got a pirate ship in space. And it's like, okay, it's for children. What do children like? Space, pirate. Just put them together. Put a big X on it.
Yeah.
There we go. It's just the formulation of like, kids are like this, put it on a cereal box. What would the Totally Doctor Who cereal taste like?
Let's see. I feel like it would be just marshmallows. Like all sugar, no substance kind of situation.
Oh, I'm almost feeling the opposite of like, they would try too hard of like, oh, well, this has to be healthy and educational. And so it just is just Brussels sprouts that they put sugar on.
I like that. Yeah, it's just Brussels sprouts, but they're like painted rainbow colors, so it's like fun. and it comes in a cereal box.
They painted Spider-Man on it. Spider-Man, Doctor Who? Who knows?
Spider-Man is the American version of Doctor Who, I feel like. It's like the most like kids love it, adults love it. It's a staple of the time. You can go anywhere in time and space. So do you want me to give you a little bit of background of what this episode is about?
Before that, can I give you my background?
Please, yes. Yes.
So
I want to know what you think.
I think that this is kind of a continuation of this. So what year did this air?
This would have been 2008.
Okay. So this is peak pirate versus ninja time. And so I think that this is kind of the start of like a pirate versus ninja kind of thing. Like that, our next thing would have been a very stereotypical white people trying to do ninja stuff, showing a dojo thing, and the whole story is them having to come together, to fight aliens. And it was going to be a crossover. It's ninjas and pirates band together to fight cowboys and aliens.
Oh my god, I would totally watch that.
And it's one of those like, oh, the rival, and like the story is like, the premise of it is like, oh, pirates versus ninjas in space, but they do this a lot where they have like a versus something, but it's not actually a versus. Like, I don't know if you saw The Ring versus The Grudge.
I did not, no.
They fight for a little bit, but then they just combine into like an ultra war. Like they always end up combining or teaming up because neither of the IPs, they don't want to have a winner and a loser.
Right.
They both have to be good at the end. So like they would just combine in space. Mm-hmm. And I don't entirely know how the Doctor is there. I guess the Doctor just kind of like, it's just kind of being a taxi service for all of these other people of like, well, yeah, I can get you to space. Yeah,
wait,
yeah, that's no problem. I can get you to space.
The Doctor in your episode that you're creating right now, the Doctor is basically creating a fight ring of cowboys, aliens, ninjas, and pirates.
Well, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think the dog, like, especially because this isn't Doctor Who proper, this is totally Doctor Who, which I'm taking this to mean, like, the Doctor is not the protagonist, the Doctor is just there. And I know that's how it is for, like, other side products, like Class, and stuff like that. If it's like, the Doctor's it's in the same universe as the Doctor, but the Doctor's not necessarily prominent. And I think that's the thing of like, they're going to do this thing anyway. And it's like, oh, we got to build a spaceship. We got to do all this stuff. And it was like, I can take you. Just give me 5-star rating on Uber.
Yeah, not bad. This is the problem with hearing all of your takes and assumptions is that they're always so much better than what the actual episode is.
Let me write Doctor Who. Let me make Doctor Who.
I'm thrilled about that. I want to see cowboys versus aliens versus ninjas versus pirates. Somebody write
the Doctor is
a
taxi service. Falling on hard times. Gotta.
What if it's the Master bringing them all together to fight? Like, it's sort of like a War Games sort of thing, but it's like, it's the Master and he's like I'm picturing like proper like Roger Delgado Master, you know, like, oh yes, and then he's just like taking bets and sort of pulling the strings from the shadows.
Yeah. I have to assume that this does involve some very problematic yellow face when they get to the ninja side of it. Of he's like, and he pretends to be Japanese.
Look, there's classic Doctor Who is nothing if not filled with problematic yellow face.
Which we'll be getting to soon enough.
Unfortunately.
Does this actually take place in a time period, or is this another random number generator?
So this is a little bit of a combination, because in the speech that David Tennant is giving, he's talking about how this ship which is called the Infinite is sort of like this legendary thing that's like, we're not sure if it like is real or not. Supposedly it's a ship that like the person who finds it will have their like greatest desire granted, I think it is. So which
Was
is
their greatest desire to have it crash?
because it's all beat up and
Yeah.
torn
And
apart.
I did see in your notes that it was like, oh, the infinite. I did think that was referring to space. If after seeing that clip and it was like, hey, which part of this is the infinite? I'd be like, the space part, obviously, not the boat part.
Yeah,
The
no,
boat is pretty finite.
the boat is called the Infinite, which honestly makes me realize that, because when I saw the title called The Infinite Quest, I was like, okay, it's a quest that's infinite. I was like, okay, this is the adjective modifying the noun. And then I realized, no, the infinite is a noun, so it's a quest about the infinite. So instead of calling it the Infinite Quest, we should call it the Infinite Quest. And I know that's a small.
I know that this is for
change,
children.
but-
Did they think that children are going to know about Infinite Jest? It seems kind of weird that they're like just making references to a big old. Is that a David Foster Wallace book?
I believe so.
Like, what do the kids love? David Foster Wallace. That's what's going to get the kids to watch TV and get their parents to pay their TV license. References to Infinite Jest.
I believe it's Infinite Jest. No. When you're jesting about the ship, the Infinite. So anyway, you asked me decades ago why I put this here. And so in David Tennant's narration of this, he's talking about the dark times. And he was like, races like the Rachnos were around. And the Rachnos, of course, we recognize from The Runaway Bride. So I was like, okay, so this is around when...
I think you'll find that we don't recognize yet, because that hasn't happened yet.
Right. Yeah, we don't recognize it. This is just a cool teaser for the next clip that we're going to talk about, actually. But when I was trying to figure out where to put this, I was like, oh, put it next to the Runaway Bride without spoiling too much. It's going to be our next episode, and we're going to see the Earth being created, I guess. But yeah,
that's definitely what happened in that movie.
Yeah, Julia Roberts aboard the TARDIS is an interesting choice, but look, if Eric Roberts can be the Master, I guess Julia Roberts can be the companion.
Hey, I think Julia Roberts should be the Doctor.
Yeah. When are we gonna get Julia Roberts as the Doctor?
I keep sending her letters.
not letters to the BBC making suggestions of who they could cast. Just sending Julia Roberts letters about this is a role you should have.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the only thing that I send her. I also tell her about how my life's been doing. Like this is, I want to keep her updated. I know that she's always very interested, but I'll also be like, hey, and where are you on that being the Doctor shit?
Now, is she gonna, have you asked her to come and be a guest on our podcast for next episode?
I have not, but I should. I just know, she doesn't have a great microphone at home, so...
Oh, okay.
It's a little difficult for her.
Okay, fair. Well, yeah, reach out and we'll see what we can, do.
I know this because of the time that I broke into her home.
Oh, right.
Allegedly.
I never have any idea if you're joking or not, and that terrifies me.
Does allegedly work when you're the one alleging? Just in case I sue myself for defamation.
Yeah. It's always better to be safe than sorry. Cool. Well, I've got nothing else for the Infinite Quest.
The Infinite Quest? So what? I mean, I guess we'll find out what happened. What's the electricity about? Did the electricity cause the acts, or is that just separate?
It's just I think it's just environmental electricity. I think it's trying to evoke, hey, this is the dark times when creatures like the Rachnos existed.
The dark times, which is weirdly, we have a bunch of light from the sky.
Mm-hmm.
I never know where the light source is in these things, because it's very nicely lit.
Yeah. but it's also animated, so it's not exactly
Actual.
real. Yes. Well, if I were the person who got their greatest desire granted by the infinite, it would be that we have listeners who would email me at matrixarchivist@gmail.com or go visit our website and watch this insane project at stitchesintie.me, which is Stitches in Time with a dot in the middle. Not in the middle. Anyway. And I don't know, leave us a review on your favorite podcast. I don't know how any of this works.
Yeah, it is the weirdness. I assume we'll get better at the sharing and posting of this when it's actually a thing that exists.
Right.
I know that
yes.
you've made websites, and I mean the website has existed because that's where Stitches in Time is housed.
Mm-hmm.
But all of the other stuff, like, review us on the thing that we will definitely be on later.
I don't know. Yeah, we're releasing these to coincide with the release of the new series of Doctor Who, but we haven't seen any of them because for us it's still March.
It's still March, and also it's not. We're still at the beginning of the universe, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be like. Who knows when we'll get to see them?
Although I will say I saw the series 1 trailer.
Yes.
And I did see some that looks like they go back to dinosaur times at one point.
Oh yeah, because there's some butterfly effect shit.
Yeah, it might that might be just a thing that's going to come up sooner than I can watch that episode probably.
So we'll have to do our own little Stitches.
Yeah, we'll do a little creative editing somehow.
No, we're gonna watch it. We're gonna watch the universe exactly as was intended. Don't worry about the fact that it's definitely all being recorded chronologically.
Yeah. Well, the whole point of this is that it's not being recorded chronologically. I don't understand why the BBC can't just air things in the order that they were intended to be watched. I don't understand.
It would make it so much easier.
It would. It really would. Well, we'll talk to you next time about the Runaway Bride. I'm excited. Bye.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Stitches in Time. Music by Becca the Matrix Archivist. Art by Mandy Okendo. Logo by Ben Padden. Please make sure to rate us and leave us a nice review. It helps new fans find the show. Got my little script. Eventually I'm sure I'll memorize this, but it seems like a lot of effort. Welcome to Stitches in Time, the podcast discussing Doctor Who or I'll just be able to pronounce all the words. That's the key.